to Global Morning here on Global Television. We're in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Lee Agmofode. This is the 3-hour breakfast program that brings you a panoramic view of big issues across our country and even beyond. Of course, on today's edition of the program is exactly what we're going to put right in front of you. I'm joined by a lady in black, who you would have thought was heading to a law firm, but somehow did a stopover here in our studio. Priscilla Obasi, it's always a pleasure to have you in the program.
Yeah, same here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you are the weatherman of the program this morning, so basically you are the one who told me that it's raining.
Yeah, it's drizzling heavily.
Heavily. It's drizzling
heavily. So it's not raining yet.
That sounds like heavy and building up already.
Actually, yeah.
Right, but what can we say? Some people say what the rain is doing now is like the last kick of a dying horse, because they feel, naturally, the rains are beginning to rain, the year is coming to an end, so as we have it in our climate, so Harmattan is going to set in, so the rain is just trying to do its best.
The best rain we've had in say 2-3 years. Before that, we would have the raining season go at say September. Okay. Yeah, now it's
October is still raining.
Still raining. We don't know how it will be for the whole of October. Well, we're hopeful that, I don't know if I should say we're hopeful, because for me, I'm looking forward to the rainy season coming to an end, because coming to work, having to get yourself drenched and all of that is not so nice, yeah. And even if you're driving, it's not a very good, experience driving in the rain. Yeah, so
I feel that.
Yes.
And incidentally, we do the kind of work that rain can't even be an excuse.
Exactly.
Because if you had your way, you probably would be home today. Maybe a cup of coffee in one hand, the most control part the other, and who knows, maybe flipping from channel to channel.
Yeah, with the duvet covered up.
Right, but incidentally, we will allow you have that. All right, it's going to be very interesting, as suspected on the program, engaging as well, because we're looking at very big issues for you, those issues that basically bring you at least one step closer to that vital information that you so needs to get. I mean, it's 2025, information is power, information is key, and information is extremely valuable. Let's take a quick break. When we return, there's a whole lot more that Priscilla and I will be putting in front of you on the program. Incidentally, we're at a point in our history, not just as a country, Nigeria, or even Africa, but across the world. We've been seeing the last 1 year, and even up to this point, one protest after another. When it started in Kenya just a little over a year ago, it appeared something that was just going to be a one-off move for action. But today, we know better, given what we're seeing cross-continent, beyond the continent of Africa. From Kenya, we saw what happened in several other countries, including in Bangladesh, for example. We've seen what has happened in other countries, Nepal. You come back home to Africa, look at what's happening in Madagascar, see what's happening in Morocco. Morocco, at this point, this will be the 10th day, has the bulk of its young people on the streets. They say they want a change in government, that enough of all of these system that they've been running for quite a while now. So they want to see a change in government. Well, some people say it's a regime change. There are those who say they can see the hand of, the West in this case influencing this move, because they are trying to liken it to the 2011 series of protests that we saw in the Middle East. I mean, I should say, for the most part, in North Africa, especially in places like Egypt, and then of course we also saw that in Libya, which today we refer to as the Arab Spring. But could that be what we're seeing in Madagascar and in a place like Morocco? Incidentally, Morocco has one of the most vibrant economies in Africa right now. In fact, they are ahead of Nigeria. I mean, even Egypt as well, ahead of Nigeria in the ranking of African economies. So what exactly could be wrong? Could it be that there's no more middle class? Is it possible there are issues around access to quality healthcare, education, and things like that? Could it be also high-handedness from the government of the day? What exactly can we say is the reason these young people are clamoring for a change in government? That's for Morocco. Then you go to Madagascar. They say there hasn't been water, there hasn't been electricity for quite some time. And because of the absence of these two very basic and vital amenities, they're saying, look, we want to change in government. I know Priscilla cannot relate, because Priscilla is somebody who is probably accustomed to switching between national grid and the power generator. So you can relate with how the people, young people in particular, can take to the streets just because there's no water and there's no light.
Well, we've not had light in my area for like 1 week now.
Have you protested to the head of the community?
I do not know what is causing it, but I think at this point it is time to hit the street. Because imagine that I have not been able to cook for, to store my food in the fridge for 1 week.
Because you can't preserve.
Because I cannot preserve it. We've not had water because we use borehole. So we've not had light to pump water for 1 week. What we've been doing is using the generator. That would, what effect that would,
Right. The cost implication,
the
right?
cost implication, and also the fact that it might also have tendency to spoil your generator. So it's been
because of the pressure.
Yeah, because of the pressure. It's been like that for, say, 1 week now. And I don't know what the problem is. I live in the Kubo axis of Abuja. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm using this opportunity, to put it out here, because whatever this is not getting funny anymore. It is not getting
For how long have you not had power?
1 week. 1 week.
And nobody is telling you what the problem is. Nobody is talking to you about what efforts are being made to restore power.
I heard of, I don't particularly know what. I think I heard that something collapsed. I don't remember. I don't think it's the national grid, because I don't know if it's affecting your access, but I think it's just within the Kubo access.
I left the house this morning and there was power. But obviously, there's a peculiarity in your area. Again,
and it's the whole of Kubwa.
You also talked about how that there's a collapse of maybe infrastructure or some installation.
Yes, something collapsed. I'm not really
sure what it is.
I'm not really sure what it is, but it's not been a funny situation, and I think it's time to hit the streets. It's just in the spirit of the Nepal.
Okay, so you want to use the Moroccan model or the Madagascar?
Exactly. I don't know.
Maybe you want to combine both of them, but you need all the support you can get. But quite frankly, we must always talk about all of these issues that affect our people. Lights, yes, as we call it, electricity, water, roads, good roads, that is, and things like that factors that Nigerians should take for granted. But if we have to protest, if we have to picket government offices, and even the offices of power distribution companies just to have citizens' voices heard, it means we are dealing with a bigger problem than we already realize.
And then I'm thinking, what is actually stopping us from going solar
as a country?
As a country. What is stopping us? Why are we still?
I had to take a deep breath.
Why is it? Because particularly in my house, we use solar, and I think that saved us for the past 1 week.
Right. That's for one house.
Just for one house. But imagine what my neighbors, have to go through. We have like 12 flats in that estate, and then from time to time you see them coming to charge their phones and all of that. But it's not funny really, and it is not so expensive. As a country, if we take it up, if we get serious about switching to, so I think Nigeria has gotten to that point where people would start to privatize electricity. Someone can say, okay, I would just have my own personal installation and, sell it, sell it to neighbors, sell it to friends, sell it to, it is possible. That's what I'm just trying to say. It is very possible for us to go solar 100%. I know that there are some risks we have to consider, but then if we take all the safety measures, it wouldn't be a problem at the end of the day. So,
all the safety measures. Incidentally, the federal government has been working in synergy with subnationals, that is with state governments, to ensure that the sector, the power sector, is properly deregulated. So we have seen, for example, Abia State, we've seen Enugu, a couple of other states now coming on board because the sector has been unbundled, all thanks to the Petroleum Industry Act, in such a way that states can now fully and practically put their foot down to also participate in power distribution. I think on the level they can also generate, but basically they can distribute in such a way that there's no monopolistic approach to power, because power is not supposed to be something you hand over to just an entity. So if anything happens to that entity, everybody is running, from pillar to post and things like that. It should be competitive, it should be liberalized, deregulated, whatever term you want to use, in such a way that Priscilla has options as to whose service she would use. Like the way you have with, just like you have with the GSM service, the mobile telephony service, just the way you have with healthcare, the way you have with anything else. So even when it comes to grocery, you can decide which store you want to go to, and nobody's going to hold a gun against your head. So I think we need to do all of this so that our citizens can enjoy the most basic things of life without having to break a bank.
Absolutely.
Yes, as always, so much for us to talk about here on the program, but let's take a quick break now. When we return, we'll talk a little more, and then of course, as always, we'll also look at the papers for you. Please do stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
if you followed our program this week, especially here on Global Morning, we have essentially focused on accountability. Even on the desk yesterday when Ramsey Enoch Agbo hosted Gimba and myself. Because whether you like it or not, no matter how much Nigeria makes, no matter what the volume of monies going into the budgets every other year will be, if those who have been saddled with these responsibilities are not held accountable, it will just be what computer scientists call garbage in, garbage out. Yesterday, for example, we talked about, who holds governors accountable across all 36 states, for instance. You come from a state, I come from a state, we all come from states. Let's say, okay, we are not on the ground in our various states right now, but for those who are on the ground rights across those states, who is holding governors accountable? Who is asking the governor, for instance, why is this road not done? Or even when the road is done, why are we having conflicting figures as to how much was spent fixing this road? Why do we have schools in the city center where there are no roofs, where people still have to sit on the ground to learn, where you have acute shortage of teachers? Again, talking about teachers and shortage of them. Yesterday, we're told close to 180,000 is the deficit, the shortfall of teachers we have in this country. You cover education, you know how critical that will be. But the question now is, when we talk about out-of-school children, again, this is about holding leaders accountable, whether they are appointed or elected. Out-of-school children are children from different states. So it's not as if you have a special states where all the out-of-school children are from. What are those respective states governors are doing? Doing to ensure that these numbers are cut to their barest. Yes, we can be grateful. We can commend the fact that we've seen a couple of governors, especially from the northern part of the country, saying, look, it's high time we made a move to ensure that we don't have this high number of hours. The figures are already embarrassing to even talk about, let alone the implications of having that humongous number of children, otherwise promising individuals, leaders of tomorrow, who are not in school today, right? So what are we doing in terms of engaging our different governors across the states? And I mentioned something on the desk. I said, in some cases, you find governors carrying themselves as though they were emperors. And as such, it creates this aura that you can't dare a governor, you can't ask a governor questions as to what they are doing with public funds. President Tinubu addressed the nation on the 1st of October. One of the things he said is that states are now receiving as much as 4 times by way of monthly allocation as they used to receive, which means that if a state, for example, was receiving, say, 4 billion, they're now receiving 16 billion. So what are those governors telling their people, those who elected them, those who they are leading, to say, look, this is what we used to earn, and these were the challenges we had. However, we have now been, we've receiving 4 times what we used to get from the federal allocation. Therefore, these are the areas we are going to be focusing on going forward. Instead, what you always have, Priscilla, is the governor comes out, he just talks very bogus things, he just talks in the air, generic kind of statements, no specifics as to what will happen in health, in education, in infrastructure, in maternity health, maternal health, I should say, and things like that. And we say, well, governors are powerful, what do we do?
Well, somebody mentioned to me recently, he tried to highlight what President Tinubu is doing in terms of, reaching out to states, how, budgets have increased. And then I said, well, good, it's a good one. But then what are like you mentioned, what are the structures put in place to ensure that these monies that are being sent to the states are used judiciously, are used properly for the citizens? Now, we are in that era where, can I come and question the governor? The power has to come from above. Our president has to put that structure of accountability, because our governors are accountable to the superior power, which is, the federal authorities, right? A citizen of a state, I personally cannot come out and question the governor, because number one, I don't want you to arrest me.
But the president can also question the governor.
Well, there should be such a structure. They should be accountable. So
again, you're saying we should take a second look at our constitution in this regard.
Yes, there should be such a structure, because citizens do not, how many citizens can actually come out to lend their voices? Those that are bold enough to do that, what they face at the end of the day. Most of them have been arrested. Most of them are, we don't even know where freedom, we don't even know where to draw the line. When we say we have freedom of speech, because you speak, it's a problem. you are trying to call out a situation for what it is, and then you still have powers that be that would want to oppress you.
And this is often regardless of how decent, courteous you try to be with your language.
No matter how you try to, no matter how you try to paint it, as long as you say this thing, well, that also should matter, right? It's important to present situations, in the most polite way.
And still on the issue.
Still on the issue, but I mean, how many courteous Nigerians do we have? When hunger drives you, there's a way hunger will push you, you will forget your manners.
You not be a gentleman.
You cannot be a gentleman because they say a hungry man is an angry man. So you cannot expect an angry man to, be all courteous and, be all nice to you. No. You cannot put hunger and courtesy in the same table. It doesn't work. So, I mean, we need a structure. We need a structure because it still boils down to grassroots politics.
Right.
I was speaking with a guest someday, I think it was sometime last week, and then he made mention of the fact that, as indigenes, as an indigene of, say, a particular community, and you notice that something is not working, say, for example, your road is not, good, or you don't have water, you can come together as a community, send a representative to maybe the local government secretariat, and go and lend your voice there. But I mean, we are still battling with our landlords increasing our rents.
Right.
Yeah, we have not been able to face our landlords. Who do you run to? You get, we are still battling with such issues. Now, how can you seek when we don't have issues that even caution landlords? Do you get? We don't have issues that caution these people. How can you breathe? There's a proverb there's an adage that says, when you are faced with big problems, or when you are faced with when you're faced with a big challenge, little challenges can come and march on you, and there's nothing you can actually do about it. So we are in that situation where we are pressed. We can't even see clearly to even, we can't even come together. Do you get? Because we are it looks like we're in bondage. We're in bondage. Landlords come and increase rent year after year. I mean, what constitution says that? And they know clearly that this is wrong, but then they keep doing it. So how can we go beyond all of that to even come to say that we want to, reach out to neighbors, reach out to communities? Do we have such relationship? You get? So I think these things need to be spelled out, and every citizen has a voice, like they say, but that now the structure by which they will come together and lend their voice should actually be well planned. Like my guest mentioned in this conversation, that citizens in the community come together, go and report to your local government. Your local government can take it to the state government. The state government, will now do something about it. But how are we sure that when we even go to the local government, are we going to be given attention? Are we going to be given an audience? Are we going to be, listened to? It's the question. Who do you meet when I go to the local government? What if he's not on seat? Because in that same conversation, he said, if he's not there, you write a letter and keep. I mean, I should write a letter and keep. Who sees it? How do they get back to me? How do I even know that letter will not be thrown into the dustbin immediately? I need that space.
I once had a boss, actually a manager, who shared a story of his NYSC days in one of the states in this country, and he told us of how that in that local government where he had his primary assignment, the local government chairman would come only at the end of the month.
Okay.
Because he was practically living entirely in the city.
Okay.
So he would come at the end of the month, of course, collect allocation, pay salaries, there may be a little for overhead, stationery and all of that.
Okay.
Then it dashes off until the next 30 days or something.
And
of course, you have several of such local governments in this area, in this country. And then you keep hearing about even members of House of Representatives, senators who don't go to their senatorial district. You have somebody, for example, from a state in the east or southwest or up north.
Based in Abuja.
They are based in Abuja. Yeah. They only go home when maybe it's a year or so to the next election and they want to have an extension in office and things like that. But time will fail us to continue to talk about these issues on the program this morning. Of course, we always want to make it front and center for you across our broadcasting here on Global Television. Let's take a break now. When we return, we'll look at big headlines from Nigerian newspapers.
All right, welcome back. So let's put a bit of context to the conversation by diving straight to the papers for today. And we'll start with the Punch newspaper. We'll start with the very first story there, which is on insecurity. It says, Tinubu to meet Council of State Police Thursday. And that detail you'll find on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Next story there says, petrol imports drop to 8-year low, and that is coming from a report. That detail is on page 25. The next story, 2027 lawyer asks court to stop Jonathan from contesting. Why? Why won't you people leave this man alone? If he says he wants to go again, I mean, this is a democratic.
I'm waiting to see what the verdict will be.
Please. Somebody says why she or he will vote for Jonathan is because during his era, during his tenure, there was freedom of speech.
Okay, beyond what his era brought and all of that, quite frankly, can you really stop somebody from contesting an election if in the eye of the law they're eligible? Academically, age-wise, of course, they are 18 or older. What else? They don't have any criminal records. I mean, there are just no, as they say in law, encumbrances, all right, that will stop them from contesting. In the case of Jonathan, we don't know any, even though we've heard some people, including some people, those who are supposed to be senior lawyers, for political reasons, now arguing, political reasons, I should say, now arguing that, well, he actually did 2 terms because he served out the term that he had started with his former principal, late president, former President Yar'Adua, and all of that. But again, that issue is dead on arrival. We know that, of course, he's being overtaken by event because the law that was supposed to address that came after that incident that happened. And of course, we know how it works in law. You don't backdate a piece of legislation or even the ground number and all of that. So I think it's going to be very interesting, and the APC also has to be careful with how they go about this narrative, because this is a narrative now. How they go about this narrative, whether it's propaganda, whatever it is, so that because it's beginning to send a message that the Jonathan factor is a bit of a nightmare. You don't want to come from the standpoint of weakness into this kind of fight, because everybody's throwing their heart in the ring right now. But let me allow you continue with the papers.
Well, I think ultimately what we should look at when we're looking at, say, candidates is their qualifications. Let's go beyond the whole sentence. Yes, look at their credentials. Are they qualified? Why are you voting for Ikubi? Why are you rooting for Nobi? Why are you rooting for a Tinubu? Why are you rooting for a Jonathan? You have your personal reasons. Don't just jump on the bandwagon effect that Nigerians like to jump on. Anyways, let's go further with the paper. And on page 7, it says, Enugu Governor, Minister, trade words over alleged certificate forgery. That detail, like I said, is on page 7. And now to the star story there, and it's on Pengasin. Pengasin fires back as Shettima defends Dangote. We're still in the battle of the mighty. I want to call them the mighty because, I mean, indeed they are. I don't know if the strike is over, but I know gas has skyrocketed, and it's really on the high side at this point. And we're really hoping that all of this drama comes to an end in no time. Let's go to the next story there, which is VP warns Labour Union not to hold nation hostage. VP, that's the Vice President Shettima. Yeah, he was really defending Dangote yesterday. I think they should just give this man a break. Dangote is not our problem. Really.
So what's our problem?
He's not our problem. He's only doing what he can do, and then the best we can do at this point is regulate whatever it is he is doing. But then he has sacrificed so much for Nigeria. Even if he has gotten his own financial benefits. Yeah, but he's a businessman, of course. He cannot take that away. But I mean, it's a purposeful living. He's living purposefully, and he is, using his gifting, his whatever it is he has, to help Nigerians. Yeah, let's look at it from that standpoint. Can you do what he is doing? Yes. So I mean, let's just cut all the whole drama.
But incidentally, the parents people are also having a problem now with the vice president. They're not very comfortable because according to them, what he did was purely a defense of Dangote and his refinery. But the Vice President's point was very clear, saying that by all means, yes, like you mentioned, Dangote refinery and indeed every other aspect of his conglomerate must be regulated, duly regulated by the respective regulatory agencies. But the Vice President's point was very simple. All right, we don't have to jeopardize the Dangote refinery to make our points, because you talked about gas price skyrocketing a while ago, which was part of our news broadcast last night. You are asking yourself, what did we lose during that strike? Is this something we wish on ourselves? Is this something we want to see a repeat of? And the answer is obviously no.
And this same Pengasin claim that they are fighting for Nigerians. So how are you fighting for those drivers or whoever was sacked, when at the end of the day they still get to buy gas at a high price? So it's just futile if you ask me.
In any case, do you have to create 4 problems to solve one?
Exactly, that's the question there. Okay, so let's go to the next story. Pengasin vows repeat strike if members are sacked again. Have they been reinstated?
I think what they've done now is to redeploy them to other segments of the Dangote group.
So they're no longer drivers?
Well, they are drivers, but not in the refinery. Because it's a conglomerate, it's a group. So it's like we move you away from, let's say, production, or let's say the production line. We'll move you into operations, or we'll move you into HR or some other departments. So that's what it is. But I wouldn't know if that again will now become basis for Pengasan to down tools.
Okay. Well, let's see how all of those play out.
Right.
The next story here is pro-Dangote protesters accuse Pengasin of sabotage. Okay, indeed. Natasha returns at Senate today after 6-month suspension. You'll find that detail on page 8. Court remands Lagos accountant over alleged 200 million naira theft. And finally, we have ASU mobilizes chapters for October 13. Warning strike. Interesting. When would we have our institutions, free of the whole strike action? Well, let's take it to the next paper, and we'll have Uyi take us through that.
All right, well, we'll take it to the top now, and this time we're going to the Nation newspaper. What do we have there? Big story later, but first off, top left corner of the paper, with a picture of Dr. Duwole there, Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment. It says local processing spurs share revenue growth. Tinubu directs NACON to reduce 2026 Hajj fares. That's the Nigerian Hajj Commission, the National Hajj Commission, all right, to reduce 2026 Hajj fares. And the commission has been given 2 days to make that happen. The Vice President met with the leadership of the commission on behalf of the President yesterday. 2027, that's a kicker. Lawyer urges court to stop Jonathan from contesting. This was the headline that Priscilla brought a while ago. More controversies over Minister's Certificates saga. That's talking about Minister of Science and Technology, Comrade, Chief Uche Nnaji. All right, is already having a battle again over that issue with Enugu State's governor. Let's move things further. Low turnouts at secretariats as Osun Council workers resume after 8 months strike. Those details await you on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Council of States Police Council meets Thursday. President to oil workers avoid strike that undermines economy. That's the point that Priscilla and I were making a while ago. It didn't say don't strike, don't go on strike. It simply says avoid the kind that undermines the economy. But government, on the other hand, must also ensure that it plays its part, because, as they say, he who must come to equity must come with clean hands, right? We lost 200,000 barrels per day, 1.2 megawatts of power generation to Pengasan's action. Why Dangote refinery must be protected, since we cannot fix our own. I mean, the ones owned by Nigerians. So why don't we also take care of Dangote? After all, they say half bread is better than a pack of chin-chin, right?
That's funny.
Right. APC, PDP, LP, APGA, NNPP, others, Sean Ripe's consultative meeting on Constitution review. Those details are on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Takes us to the next one, which is the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, let's take it to the Nigerian Tribune with the very first story there, right above the nameplate corner. National Convention, how PDP National Secretary may emerge. That is coming from stakeholders. Obi challenges INEC to address certificate forgery ahead of the 2027 polls. Well, I think it's always better to prevent than to cure. So how would the minister emerge without all the screening processes done properly? Why are we hearing that in office you have forged your certificate? What happened before you were appointed? Is that we do not have the systems, the right
to do background checks, do screening, due diligence.
It's becoming like a
common phenomenon.
Yeah, in Nigeria. So I think Obi's point here makes a lot of sense. Please do all of those checks before you appoint them.
So we don't continue to embarrass ourselves.
Exactly. The big story here: alleged genocide against Christians. Senate moves to counter narrative. May engage U.S. Congress, and that is coming on page 4. So I wonder how we have different narratives flying here and there. Our nation is saying something else, and then you have on the international news, something totally different.
Right.
Who is lying? I mean.
Okay, I don't know who is lying. I'm not even so sure if anybody is lying. But one thing I know for a fact is President Bola Tinubu was in Jos, Plateau State capital. And on Sunday, he was at the Church of Christ in Nigeria. Of course, he was there to honor the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, whose mom passed away not too long ago. So this was part of the activities around the burial. And one of the highlights from what he said right there in the church was that there is no persecution of Christians in the North. It was very particular because that's where the conversation is heading. There is no persecution of Christians in the North. That Christian leaders in the North should trust his leadership because, according to him, he has a responsibility to unite the nation. In any case, if the U.S. or its embassy here in Nigeria has evidence to the contrary, they can present it. I mean, it's 2025, and they know what time it is.
Well, how come when we see all of the news that pop up on the internet, people coming to share, their experiences, where is it coming from? I think. We cannot dispute the facts. We cannot totally shut or just silence the fact that they have not been killing.
Well, that way invalidating the legitimate, genuine concerns of people.
Maybe you want to say, okay, it's not really against Christians, but by pushing such a narrative, you're making it look as if we have been in peace, everything has been fine. How would those affected communities feel about it? Coming from a president, do you understand? And then the Senate coming to, moving to counter the narrative. I mean, you should come from the standpoint of, okay,
let's investigate.
Let's investigate.
Those who claim that they've been persecuted,
come out.
Let's bring them forward.
Exactly, come out.
And determine who to hold accountable.
Exactly, not moving to counter. I mean, it's just, you just want to counter.
Do damage control. Rather than fix the roots of the problem.
That is the problem. And, let's just go to the next story here. ASU mobilizes members for nationwide strike. That detail is on page 3 of the Tribune newspaper. Court asked to restrain Jonathan from contesting 2027 presidential. Why is Jonathan such a threat to these people? On health, we have choking during sex can result in stroke, convulsions, and even paralysis. That is coming from experts. Same-sex marriage. Church of Nigeria rejects election of new Archbishop of Canterbury, and that detail is on page 4. Pengassin not greater than Nigeria. That is coming from the federal government, and that detail is on page 8. Finally, we have Tinubu orders reduction of 2026 Hajj fee on page 30. Oh, I beg your pardon, that wasn't the last story. Fire guards part of Rivers Secretariat, and that detail is on page 26 of the Tribune newspaper. Read up details to get yourself informed. And let's take it to the Guardian paper right now.
All right, with The Guardian, we'll start from the headline, top right corner. It says, Wujale's tool, over 30 aspirants screened as more jostle for throne. One with a picture of the embattled, Minister of Science and Technology, Chief Uche Inanji. And by the side of it, you also have a picture of his state governor, Dr. Peter Mba. It says, certificates scandal, Mba behind mild deals, Inanji claims. But Dr. Mba's spokesperson has gone ahead to debunk all of this. Even the director from the Ministry of Information has also released a statement in this regard, disowning the claim by, debunking the claim by Inanji, raising very salient questions about the trajectory regarding the minister's sojourn at the University of Nigeria between 1985 and 1986 in particular, with timeline. Very detailed, but again, we see how this turned out. For the benefit of our viewers, this is coming on account of the investigative reporting spanning 2 years that was done by Premium Times, right? Dissent to president's appointing INEC officials swells. So what are we going to do? Because as of today, the Constitution provides clearly that the president has the powers to appoint the chairman of INEC. So are we going to quickly do a review of that section of the ground norm and then have adopt a different approach to it? But then let's take a look at the star story here for you. It says, students loan, now fund kicks as institutions hike tuition fees, charges for profit. Tame inflation to enjoy reforms, World Bank advises Nigeria. Nigeria's food security goals stalled by flawed procurement policy, experts claim. 2027, Mimiko denies leading Southwest consultation team to Jonathan. Of course, we understand that the PDP is interested in having him as their candidate, but this October will determine a lot of things in light of the convention of the PDP. All right, U.S. pressure triggers federal government, Senate's pushback on alleged Christian prosecution. You can see a picture of a U.S. senator there, and then of course the spokesperson for President Tinubu, there's on the diary, and the president of the Senate talking about Akpabio there. All right. What more do we have? Two more headlines. Strike imminent as ASU mobilizes members, decries federal government's inaction. We're talking about surviving, at least in parts. Pegasus strike, and now ASU is cooking. Okay, bandits kill one, kidnap two residents in Kwara. You find that on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Yes, that senator is Ted Cruz of the U.S. there. All right, but you can read up those details on page, let's see where that is. There's 6 on the Vanguard, Guardian newspaper, I beg your pardon. Those are the headlines from the Guardian this morning. Next part of call is the Daily Trust newspaper.
Okay, so on the Daily Trust newspaper, below the nameplate, we have the very first story. Senate to debate genocide claim against Christians in Nigeria. You will find the detail on page 7. 2027, court asked to stop Jonathan from contesting. I think we need to be naming all these courts. Let's just be. I don't like courts. I don't like this anonymity. Okay. Tinubu orders reduction of 2026 Hajj fare. The big story there, parties. It's coming from parties. President shouldn't appoint INEC chair. Of course. President shouldn't appoint INEC chair. How should they be done then, if I may ask? What do you suggest?
Well, what can I say? Nigerians have the final say on this. But you see, if the people keep saying that they want a situation where the president no longer has the prerogative or latitude to appoint the chairman of INEC, then so be it. However, you also need to ask yourself, what is the best approach to adopt in terms of reworking our laws to move the power away? But then how do you alternatively appoint INEC chairman? Will it be by the CJN, who's also an appointee of the president? Will it be by the National Assembly? In which case, these National Assemblies are referred to, I mean, I'm talking about them in terms of Ninth Assembly, Eighth Assembly, and all of that, referred to as rubber stamp. All right? So, how do we insulate that appointment in such a way that the president does not influence it for personal?
I think the House of Assembly for me would be it, because
maybe by voice vote.
Yes, that's what we have.
Those against.
Yes, for me, I think it would, because Nigerians, whether we like it or not, our senators are there representing us, even if sometimes they are not. But I mean, that is the best bet.
Even when they rush off for plenary.
Yeah. All right. So finally, we have Shetima Bat Dangote. NNPCL links gas and gas scarcity to strike. Of course, that is the reason. Then can we take another paper? Okay, let's do this.
Okay, this day, right? Good. Thank you, Priscilla. Let's turn to this day. We will begin this day with the headline above the nameplate here. It says, Ojulari, Nigeria lost over 600,000 barrels of oil to Pegasan's 3-day strike. But that was not the exact figure the Vice President mentioned. Well, let's move on with the riders. Says 1.68 million barrels per day of crude oil produced in September. Gas outputs of 7 cubic feet per day, highest in recent times, achieved. Okay, attributes hike in LPG price to recent oil workers strike, and NNPC raises petrol price to 905 naira on union's supply disruption. Quite sad. Senate resolves, that says Senate resolves to tackle U.S. government over Christian genocide talks resumes today. Barrow North will repay Tinubu's kindness in 2027. That's the deputy president of the Senate there, the one to whom that is credited. President rallies support for Dangote, highlights his contributions to economy. And then 3 riders. The first one tells us, declares Nigeria greater than Pengasan, describes Africa's richest man as an institution, tasks the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, that is the NESG, on industrial harmony. Abubakar Bagudu, poverty elimination, $1 trillion economy realizable by 2030. That's Minister of Budget and National Planning, who doubles as former governor of Kebbi State there talking. Incidentally, that's how we call it a wrap here on the paper segments of Global Morning. Today, as always, we'd like to encourage you to take a look at the details of these papers for yourself so you can stay ahead of the news. We do not, as Global Television or the team here on Global Morning, contribute to the headlines or the details of these papers. All we do is just to read them out to you based squarely on their headlines. Let's take a quick break. When we return, it will be time to bring you the rest of the program.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Good morning to you, my viewers. I am August Kumobner. It's a good day to look at what's buzzing on the internet. So today we're going to be discussing about an ex-user who actually tweeted something and is trending on social media. And I'm going to read them. I'm going to read this tweet out. This ex-user's name is Chibuzo Omura. He said, "Our TV broke in December and it changed our family. We decided not to replace it for 6 months. Best decision ever. Without a TV, the kids read more, play together, and spend evenings outside with friends. As a family, we talk more, laugh more, cook together, play games, and actually hang out. On Saturdays, he said, we hosted our own family sip and paint with homemade meat pie, chicken wings, and puff puff. The whole day turned into laughter and connection instead of everyone behind screens. It's now 10 months and we will likely end the year without a TV. Screen time is way down, family time is way up. Best family experiment of all times." Okay. Well, you trust social media users to always have their own opinion, which is very, very necessary. So we are going to be taking some comments as regards this tweet from Chibuzo Omura. And the first comment is coming from Tayo. And Tayo said, "I didn't grow up watching TV and it made me love reading till today. I used to read the entire dictionary for fun." Well, I think I also did that while growing up. Well, who knows? I don't know about children of these days. So the second comment is coming from IGT, and IGT says, "You can still watch TV and do all these things. It's about balance. Certain TV programs are very educational. I wonder why people see TVs as a destructive tool. Learn balance, create screen time, etc." The third comment is coming from Millie Man, and Millie Man says, TVs are not the problem. Try doing with phones, life feels easier. The fourth, which is the last comment, is coming from It's Ugochukwu, and Ugochukwu says, who needs TV when everything you need is in your phone or tablet? And that's how he ends the comment. Who needs TV when everything is in your phone or tablet? Well, I'm not doing this alone today. I have with me this morning Priscilla Obasi. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning, Ogochukwu Mobono. Good to have you here.
Good to have you too here. You know, I was excited when I knew that I was going to be having this discussion with you because I know you have something to do around children and all of that. And you know, Mr. Omora was just talking about how TV has actually been more like a distractive tool or destructive tool, like someone mentioned earlier, and feels like without TV, you think it's better, like family lives feel better. What do you think?
Well, I was going to agree with him until the last comment that said, who needs TV when we have phones? So I think phones have actually done more damage than TV, if you ask me. Yeah, because you see couples, you see husband and wife, you know, different with their different phones into their devices. And then, of course, that would also affect bonding time. I understand what Onwora, right? That's his name, where he's coming from. He mentioned that his TV, I believe he is a man with a, I tried to, you know, understand his background from his tweet. He appears to be a man with a wife and kids. He didn't mention how many kids though. But when he said the tweet, I actually thought he was one of these Nepo babies, you understand? And then until I understood that he is actually a family man from his tweet. So it's a good thing. And then somebody in that tweet also mentioned balance, which is where I want to start my own, you know, contribution to the conversation from. Yeah, balance is actually key. I have 2 kids. One of my kids, you know, was, when he was quite younger, he did not like the screen. And then when he grew up, he now, you know, began to like and sometimes want to get addicted to watching the screen. And the second one, you know, likes the screen. He likes this. He was introduced to the screen from, you know, a very tender age, and he almost affected him. So I can understand where he is coming from. Screen time for kids actually can be destructive when you don't balance it. I know an influencer, I think it was Solomon Buchi, that, you know, has been bragging with the fact that his kids, or his son rather, has not been exposed to the screen. Like, he has not given his son a phone or even a tab or even the TV. And on his tweet, sometimes, you know, Nigerians would want to bash him and say, who cares, do what works for you. And then that's where I want to also come from. Different strokes actually for different folks. What works for kid A might not work for kid B. There are children that actually learn stuff from watching TV. And when you take them away from the screen, actually, you know, their learning would actually be slower. But then, before all of these technologies came into existence, how did we cope? Of course, we did cope. Yeah, so it also boiled down to the whole, you know, topic of balance. It's important to balance your screen time with your kids, or balance their screen time. Even as adults, yes. Screens or technology shouldn't take away socializing. It shouldn't take away, you know, the traditional way of socializing with family, with friends, you know, with loved ones and all of that. We go on Facebook and we say it is a social media. But funny enough, there are people that are not even social on that app. That's why the fact that they stay on that app 24/7. If you meet them one-on-one, you wouldn't even get to see proper pictures. Yeah, they actually suck. Sorry to use that word, but there are people that you see active online. When you get to meet them one-on-one, they cannot hold a conversation with you. And that's because they have not gotten used to interacting physically with people. They've not really trained themselves. They've been, you know, used to the whole technological socialization, which is actually a facade. It is not real. It's a mirage, actually. So take yourself away from that whole technology, you know, world, and try to interact with people, meet people. As adults, it's important, and even as kids, cut down their screen time or time them on the screen. That way they would be able to appreciate the screen time. And even when you expose them to the screen, what are you putting in front of them? Make sure it is something that actually educates them, because some parents use screen time to, you know, buy themselves time their own me time. So they give their children devices and, they use it to, distract them so that they don't disturb them, and it's actually dangerous. If you're giving your child a screen, make sure it's monitored. Make sure whatever they are watching is actually something that educates them. They're not just bumping, on stuff on the internet, because the internet can actually be harmful. There are some strangers there that want to destroy your kids if you're not careful. So if you give them the screen, it should be monitored and it should be timed. Even as adults too, we should monitor our screen time and we should time, ourselves. Be mindful of what you watch. Basically, that's what I'm saying.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. I really agree with you when it comes to balancing, because honestly, these days, a lot of persons are really on their phone more than the TV. How many people even have this time to sit down and start watching TV? And even the weekends where you feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to be free during the weekends, you still do not have time. I, for one, can tell you that my house, we've not subscribed since this year. We only subscribed once, which is towards the Christmas time, because we know we're going to be having a fuller house and you don't want to bore your guests whenever they come. So that's the only time we subscribe. So when you subscribe maybe on the 23rd of December and it expires 23rd of January, that's the end. That's the end. Everything you want to do is in your phone. But then even while using your phone, make sure when you are at it, it's for educational purpose. You are being informed about something there. Outside,
not just entertainment.
Yeah, you're not just going all through entertainment and just that. Make sure that you've been educated, and also give yourself that screen time. Always tell yourself, okay, from this to this, don't let it control you at the end of the day, because even your eyes, your health, they are all at risk. Your brain too is also at risk. So we're not just looking at just the distraction of it. We're looking at the healthy part of screen time and all of that.
Yeah, I want to add, set a timer. When you want to use your phone, set a timer. Make sure,
even when you're doing something serious, even if it's work, set a timer, honestly, because you don't know what's doing to your brain at that time, honestly. The light you are taking into your eyes, so you don't know what is damaging to at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Priscilla. I really enjoyed this time. I really enjoyed our conversation today and the topic of discourse. Thank you so much for your contribution. All right, that's all we have for you today on Social Buzz here on Global Morning. I am Ogochukwu Mobno, and do not go nowhere because Global Morning continues.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
quite a lot to talk about on the show today. We understand by Thursday, all else equal, President Tinubu will be meeting with Council of States and the police. That's in 2 days' time, obviously because of the spate of insecurity in the country. A time there was, Priscilla, when we had to live in denial over these issues. We had to sweep some of them under the carpet. We had to pretend that they were not even happening. But today, we know better. Lucky Rabo, General Lucky Rabo, retired, immediate past Chief of Defense Staff. He has written a book. He just launched a book here in Abuja 2 days ago. And the book focuses on his own time in the military, but more importantly, the Boko Haram, as it were, trajectory and how it has inflicted so much of pain on Nigerians. If you notice, some time ago, about 10, 11 years ago, Boko Haram was rated the second most dangerous terror sect or terror group in the world. Today, by some estimates, Boko Haram has killed at least between 60 and 66,000 people. That's minus those they have maimed, those, houses they burnt, billions, or who knows, maybe even trillions that have been lost, and things like that. General Lucky Rabo, retired, is saying that, look, Nigerian government, the federal government, that is, should consider state of emergency, mobilizing all resources in this direction to ensure that this issue is brought to an end once and for all. And if you looked at the news yesterday and even into today, we're beginning to understand that some past retired generals, army chiefs, those from other arms of the military, including Navy and the Air Force, are also throwing their weight behind that call to say, look, there's no better time to have this kind of move than now. Because if we could declare a state of emergency in River State, which is, if you like, almost inconsequential compared to the spate of killings we see across the country, why can't we also make that move to say, beyond anything else, let's deal with this issue so that we can have some peace or semblance of it in the country to be able to pursue other endeavors, whether infrastructure development, foreign direct investment, or even the reforms that we are driving in the economy. In January, for example, the new tax regime will kick in. You were asking about tax a while ago. Yeah. But how do you do all of this if the country is dealing with Boko Haram, bandits, kidnappers, and all sorts of criminals?
Well, the thing is, up until this time,
you don't feel affected because you live in Abuja.
That's what I was going to say. That it's not like I don't feel affected, but up until this time, there are lots of Nigerians that do not even understand the whole Boko Haram situation. They don't feel like it's a reality yet. And I don't know about our leaders, but it is as real can be. And I think we have been slow to action on the whole Boko Haram insurgents and all of that. If we declare a state of emergency, what does it solve? Do we have the right hands? Do we have the right minds? To
sincerity of purpose.
Do we have the same exactly? So it is not just about declaring a state of emergency. Well, it's a good step, if you ask me. It's the right step in the right direction, but it doesn't stop there. We need to have a unity of purpose. We need to, have the same mind towards this. I don't know what to call it. It's a cankerworm at this point because it has eaten so deep, and somehow we don't even see the reality. A lot of us don't see the reality of it. So it has been delayed. It is long overdue. Dealing with Boko Haram. Boko Haram started like a joke, and that is how it gets in Nigeria. Something just starts, and somehow we just look at it as if it doesn't matter. In short, we use it to
for cruise.
Not just for cruise. We some other political class would use it to, inflict.
Begin to wear narratives.
Yes, wear narratives, and then just. I don't know the right word to use, but then we just want to talk down on the current administration, and then we don't see that as this thing is affecting us all. One day you might think that.
What it look like since Priscilla is the president,
he's the one that
and her party is the one in position.
They're the ones
so it's their problem.
It is their problem, exactly. So the other party starts to throw the narrative, and then we look at it as if it's this person's problem. At the end of the day, you become the president, and it starts to affect you.
And then you start to explain.
Exactly. We start to date it back to this is when it started. Did that person bring it? When the whole Jonathan regime was on, we saw other parties, other members, other political, personalities coming out to throw shades at him, but right now they are in power, and it's also affecting them. So this is to say that the country is ours. Whatever comes at one, comes at all.
Right.
Yeah, and whenever it happened, it is time for us to join hands together. Whoever, regardless of whoever is on the seat, regardless of whoever is in power, we shouldn't let this happen again. Today is Boko Haram, tomorrow it can be another thing.
Right.
So it's important to learn the lessons, even as we're dealing with the situation.
You know, incidentally, the Council of States is made up of former presidents, of course, head of states, and all of that. I think a couple of other people, including former and current CJNs. All right, they are all expected to be there. So it's going to be a powerful role on Thursday, and again, that power is going to emit a lot of intensity because of the issue that's going to be on the front burner, which is the issue of insecurity. I mean, just look at only Benue and Plateau states alone. You see, okay, let's move away from north central states of Benue and Plateau. Let's move to, say, the northwestern part of the country. You go to a place like Katsina had also been hot at a point, but Zamfara is the hot spot now for banditry. The governor had, it's on record to have said that on his phone he can see where the bandits are, what they are up to, all of the activities and all that, but he wonders why the military cannot take them down or even pin them down or something. And then you see someone like Dr. Dele Alake, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, coming to tell senators and indeed Nigerians that, look, there are powerful Nigerians behind illegal mining in the country, and nobody is asking, who are these powerful Nigerians? We have seen, for example, where a journalist posted something on their blog, or a random Nigerian, so to speak, put up a tweet, for example, and the DSS picks them up to say, explain these tweets, explain these posts or this article. But when you hear somebody in the caliber of a serving minister, all right, in this government say that there are powerful Nigerians behind this illegal mining, who knows, maybe that's also a conversation he has had with his principal, the president, all right? One would have thought that the intelligence community will swing to action, or at least the DSS in particular will say, let's see what intel you have, let's see how we can use that as a lead and pursue it to a logical conclusion. We're not having that. And in this country too, we saw under late former President Muhammadu Buhari how that even the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation at the time, Abubakar Malami, had told Nigerians that at least 400 persons had been taken into custody and were being prosecuted for allegations bordering squarely on sponsorship or financing of terrorism. Priscilla, you and I don't have to be lawyers to know how heavy an allegation it is for somebody to be accused of financing terrorism. But today people are asking, what has happened to that trial? Is that prosecution still on? Are the people alleged to have been involved let off the hook? Where exactly are we with all of this?
I think one thing Nigerians have to consider when electing a leader is the state at which the country is in.
At that point in time?
Yeah, at the point in time. Different personality types, would handle situations differently.
Right.
Nigeria is in that state where, you need somebody with a personality type that doesn't joke with information, that doesn't take nonsense, because corruption has eaten so deep. In short, it is bad at this point. I would say that. And if you want to elect someone, you cannot elect somebody that will take his time to do stuff, would hear stuff, passing information flying left, right, center, and will just want to take time. No. We need a leader that can take action immediately. If you are electing a leader at this point, look at their personality type. How would they attend to situations? How have they handled situations you have heard of? We need an urgent, what kind of, I really do not know the term to, or the term to, place this personality kind of type I'm talking about. But we don't need any leader right now that would, take their time to do things. And that is something we should consider in the next election. Do not look at tribe. Do not look at promises. No, look at track record. Look at, history. Look at evidences. That is what we need right now, not promises, not tribe, not religion whatsoever. Yeah.
Priscilla, what you're saying now, it's not only logical, it's valid and it's timely. You are electing a governor, a president, or even a local government chairman. How much do they understand the issues? How much of will can they bring into dealing with those issues, addressing those problems? But here is another problem. Before politicians even emerge within their various political parties to clinch the tickets of those parties, a lot of power play happens, all right? A lot of negotiations would naturally take place as to who goes where, who gets what. And then there are those who are the determinants of whether Priscilla is going to become the flag bearer of the party in the governorship election, or is going to represent her senatorial district, or is going to be the member of the House of Reps for her constituency. And I mean, all of those positions. That is the first stage of the fights, politically speaking.
Somehow I feel like these political parties listen to the voices of the people. They know who the people want.
Of course they know.
Yeah, they play their games well. Right now, politics have gone.
But do you expect them to come to the public and say,
No.
I know I'm throwing my hat in the ring, but I can see, obviously, that the people prefer Priscilla.
No, within themselves.
Okay, in the party.
In the party,
Yes.
they know who to present to the public.
Right.
Because
and who has the capacity?
Yes, who has the capacity to win another party. So it is time for Nigerians. Well, our voices have always been loud, but I think we need to make it louder, because these people know, they see, they understand who the people want. Right now, there has been the whole delay in presenting a candidate to the ADC rather, because of the fact that they are still trying to understand the public space. They want to know, I feel like the delay has been strongly.
And you don't think it's Atiku they prefer?
Well, maybe they would prefer Atiku, but they know that if they bring an Atiku, will the people accept Atiku? Because they're trying to.
And overall, what are the options we have?
Exactly. You want to defeat a sitting governor. A sitting president. In
the person of President Bola Tinubu.
Exactly. So you should know who to bring to the table.
Right.
For you to make that possible, because. Well, I don't want to talk about rigging though, but I mean, we know that these people know their games. They know, they understand it. So you need to have a competitive edge, right? What do they have that, or what can we have that they do not have? And of course, that has to be the voice of the people. So we need to be louder, because they know, they see. Yeah, so I don't feel like it starts there. It starts with the voice of the people.
Right.
Yeah, that's where it starts from.
I totally agree with you. The voice of the people, but the question is, do politicians play by that rule? We were talking on the desk yesterday. Ramsey was hosting Gimba and I, and one of the things Gimba was trying to say is that most of these politicians, they play by the Machiavellian rule, which is take power by force, by all means, because they believe, quite frankly, deep down on the inside, nobody gives you power. But again, that's where the rule of law comes in. That's where the law itself becomes, the constitution becomes the ground norm, where nobody can take the laws into their hands and get away with it. And to talk about these politicians, once again, just before you jump right in, you realize that even after you survive, so to speak, clinching the ticket of your party, you have to go to the open field, again, for want of a better word. So you are going to be up against other candidates from other political parties, all right? Now, by the time you survive that and eventually win, let's say you become a senator, you become even a House of Assembly member or governor, you now begin to realize that there are people you have to serve. We're talking about interest, because it was insecurity that brought us here. You now begin to realize that there are people you need to serve, you need to pay back, there are those you need to compensate, there are boys who worked for you. Till today, Governor Okpebholo in Edo State has been in office for what is close to 11 months, right? That will be 11 months on the 12th of this month, right? But there are people who are still very, if you like, you still need to pacify them, you need to placate them inside the APC in Edo State. What's their grudge? It's simply based on the fact that they say the governor has not compensated them, he has not done right by them, given the amount of work that he puts in, how they sacrifice this and that for him. And the governor also understands that, look, you can't wish these people away. They worked for you. So even though some of them feel entitled, but let's just do what we have to do so we don't rock the boat and things like that. So when it comes to insecurity, I can tell you for free, Priscilla, that you don't want to know the volume of briefing, security briefing, that a governor receives in Nigeria almost on a daily basis. I know of a state, for example, where they have their security meetings on Tuesdays, right? you don't want to know what the governor hears in terms of what is happening regarding security. I mean, the commissioner of police in that command in that state is briefing him. All right, the state commandant of the NSCDC is briefing him. The general officer commanding of the army is briefing him. Director of DSS in that state is briefing him, and then he has his own network of people who gather intelligence for him. So you don't want to know what he hears about cultism in that state, about internet fraudsters, the ones popularly referred to as Yahoo boys, things he hears about kidnappers, things he hears about armed robbers, things he hears about assassins, things he even hears about how political parties are arming young people, all right, to commit mayhem in the states and beyond, all right. What does that say to you? It says to you that the governor has a lot of information. He knows a lot of things. I mean, Zamfara State Governor again, Dauda Lawal is a case in point in this regard. So the question is, what does the governor do with that intel? And then you go to the president, right? The president, of course, even hears far more, even beyond the shores of our country, than all the governors put together. What does the president do with that intel? There's always political interest. What happens if a president realizes that this monster here, let's say banditry, for example, there's somebody I respect, in fact, there's somebody I defer to, who has been implicated, who has been indicted? It will place a demand on his morality. It will place a demand on how ethical as a human being he is. It will place a question mark on whether or not he puts the country first. So most times that's what we are. Ask yourself, for example, on a final note, since the day of former President Jonathan, we have heard of people who have been indicted one way or another with scientific, weighty evidence, preponderance of evidence against them. What has happened? Jonathan has been out of office for almost over 10 years. Yeah. What has happened to those people? We have heard about people who, exactly on whom evidence was found about being in touch with Boko Haram, being in touch with bandits, even on their cell phones and all of that. What has happened to those people? Some of them are even in the corridors of parties. So when you look at all of this, you now ask yourself, even with all these calls for state of emergency to be declared, will it have head?
Well, again, I think to take us out of this mess, it all boils down to our leaders, like you have just mentioned. Right. And I'll still emphasize the fact that you need a good leader to be able to address this situation. And when you were voting for a leader, I know that votes, I want to argue that votes do not count, but I think more than ever before, the Nigerian voice is being heard. Whether you like it or not, these politicians are listening. They are scared somehow. The bad leaders, of course, because if you have no cockroach in your cupboard, why would you be scared? Well, they are scared. I don't know who it was, but I think an aspiring politician come up on the internet to campaign. Well, it was a sort of campaign, though. Well, he put up videos of Gege, listening to Gege, and then feeling like he was inspired. That is to buy the voice of the people. Why would, on a normal day, why do you think politicians will go that far to impress people? Right. Yeah, they know that the people's voice counts. We cannot say it will end now. It's a continuous fight, right? And it will all depend on the leaders that we appoint. But whether we like it or not, these people, what I just want to emphasize, and what I want to project this morning is that your voices have been heard. Yeah. And then, if you want to appoint a leader, you need to consider their, maybe not just personality now, but their morality. Do you understand how moral? What are the standards of this president? Right. What are the standards of this candidate? Because they say if you want to come for his equity, right? You need to come with clean hands. Right. So it only takes someone that has the good morals, good standards to come out and say, whether you are my brother or sister, the best I can do for you is stop it. I will not shout it, or do not continue. Else you will face the law. You get how many presidents can come out to practically, point fingers or call people to order? Because, like you said, our leaders they get a lot of information. Somehow they know, but their hands are tied because maybe this person that is involved in this is someone that helped me during my political campaign. I cannot do something, I cannot really. He's my benefactor. He's my benefactor. I can't really do so much against him. So the best I can do is just to keep quiet and that's as if I do not know it exists, because that's what plays. That's what's going on. They are acting like it doesn't exist. They know that it exists, but somehow they cannot, point a finger to that person because they know that they are the benefactors. So we need an unbiased individual. It's going to be difficult because as humans, we all have that, tendency to be biased. But when it's too much, it's a problem. Somebody says there is no human being without a fault. But how you know a good person is that they do more good than bad. Yeah. So
you have to weigh their good against their bad.
Do they have more bads? Do they have more wrong? Because of course nobody is perfect. But what would they stand for at the end of the day is what we should be talking about.
Incidentally, Priscilla and I will not be attending the Council of State meeting on Thursday, but we can only hope that it turns out to be such that whatever decisions will be made, especially as it has to do with tackling insecurity in our dear country, Nigeria, will be in the overall interests of the larger majority, so that we can wake up in a few weeks and realize that banditry has been tackled, insurgency has been brought to its knees, and kidnapping and all of these one-chance problems that we're hearing in FCT and across the country are no longer a thing that we have to come to national television to talk about while you enjoy your breakfast. We're taking a break. When we return, we'll put our first conversation on the road. It focuses on the creative economy and how that tech-driven entertainment is helping to shape this narrative. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, welcome back. Right now, we turn our conversation to one of Nigeria's fastest growing sector, and that is the creative and entertainment industry. Now, from streaming platforms to social media trends, technology is transforming how music, how film, and even how comedy and content creation generally is not just shaping our culture, it also is also shaping our economy. In the past decade, we've seen Nigerian artists and content creators cross-border and even filmmakers build global audiences and even influence policy conversations through digital platforms. But beyond all of those glamour, there is the real conversation, the real economic conversation that needs to be had. And we're talking about the jobs, opportunities, the intellectual property, and even the digital economy at large. Now, to join us on this conversation, I have a music industry executive, and he's a content licensing expert. He has been deeply involved in the evolving world of digital streaming platforms and music rights. He is Bode Akin. You're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so we have Olabode with us. Welcome. So let's dive straight into the conversation. We're talking about the evolution of tech and entertainment. I'll start with my first question. First of all, let me just have a background of how your journey has been in this digital content creation licensing world. Your journey, I wanted you to brief us on your journey. How have you, gone through the whole processes to where you are at right now?
I mean, it has been a very insightful and very long journey, but it has also been quite eye-opening, and I can...
We can't quite hear you clearly. Is there something wrong there? Yeah, this is better.
Okay. I said it has been quite an insightful and a rewarding journey, and I dare to say that it has been tough, but also very, very rewarding. I started out in the media space, radio, TV, then gradually started working as an A&R for a record label, and from there I grew into the content licensing, both visual and audio content licensing, generally in Nigeria, West Africa, and in Africa as a whole. So I think that's like just a summary of how my journey has been in the entertainment space in Nigeria. Yeah.
Okay, so Nigeria's entertainment scene has gone digital in a big way, let's say over the past few years. From your perspective, how has it really changed the way music and creatives generally, how their contents are being produced and distributed? How have we transitioned as a nation into that digital space of content licensing?
I think over the years we have really done well for ourselves. I mean, we can get better than what we are right now, but I would say we have really done well for ourselves. Transcending from the CD era, cassette era, and now into the streaming age. I would say there is maybe more money on the table, but obviously we can get better than what we are. We always say Afrobeats to the world. Yes, the medium is there, the platform is there, and I think the talent is also there. It's undeniable that Nigerians, we are very talented, and I would say it hasn't been an easy journey, obviously, with a few ups and a few downs, but I think on the long run, the Nigerian entertainment space and Nigerian music and content space is in really, really good hands, with a lot of A&Rs and music execs pushing the culture, pushing the conversation, and telling the story. And I think the sky is just a starting point for us, definitely.
Okay, so we have seen Nigerians, grapple with the whole change. Some Nigerians, let me not say all of us, but then this platforms, licensing platform, is it strictly for just artists? How can all the creators harness this space for opportunities and, of course, for profit?
Okay, Okay, definitely, it's not for only musical artists. You know, there are podcasts, there are entertainment shows. You know, and now with the inception of AI into everyday life, not only in the entertainment or in music space. So as a podcaster, you can license your podcast to some of these DSPs, that's digital streaming platforms. You know, like Mdundo, which I happen to work with, is a top DSP in Africa. We have Spotify, Apple Music, and AudioMac, and some other ones that I'm not mentioning now. So as a podcaster, you can put your podcast on some of these platforms. You as a writer, you can write a book and convert it into audio format. Yes, audio books, and put some of them on this platform and monetize most of these things. Especially if you have the full copyright to this content. So it's not only just about the musicians, and also when it comes to music, it's not only the musicians that are making money from this content. We have the songwriters, we have the composers, we have the producers, we have the instrumentalists. So everybody is now more enlightened, unlike 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Right now in Nigeria, in the content space, everybody, we're all more enlightened, and everybody's fighting for their share of piece of the revenue that is coming in. So yeah.
Okay, so let's delve just slightly into the economy now. Our government, do you think as a country, if we look at our economic side of it, or do you think we're really benefiting, or is it just on an individual note?
I mean, I can't say we are not benefiting. Definitely the country is benefiting. And I remember, I think recently with the taxing that the government is trying to put in on everybody, personal income tax and all that. Aside the music industry, there are other creators in the entertainment space. We have the content creators that shoot skits. We have the streamers that are going really, really top right now. There's Twitch, there's TikTok streaming, there's TikTok live streaming, there's Twitch live streaming, there's Instagram live streaming. So we have all these people that are making a lot of revenue from all these places, and the government on their part, they are also telling these creators that yet we are going to be taxing you. So definitely the economy itself is booming. And aside the streaming, also we have events being organized. There's the Dirty December that happens every December, and you have a lot of people coming into the country. Most recently, I think Cisco, which is a legend in the entertainment space in the US and on the global stage, it was in Nigeria recently. I think it's still even in Nigeria at the moment. So these are some signs that we can see that the economy itself is booming, not just on a personal level for individual creators, but on an economical scale for the country at large. So yeah.
Okay, so you spoke about you talked about the tax, the new tax reform that is going to be imposed next year. From your end, as an expert in this field, what are the consequences for creators?
I mean, you have to pay tax, definitely. You have to pay tax. Now, the percentage of tax that they are being told to pay might vary from creator to creator, from income. For me personally, obviously, I pay my tax at the moment, and I will continue to do so. And the only thing I want to say is, yes, a lot of Nigerians would say, okay, why is the government, want to collect tax from our revenue, our income, when the government are not putting things in place for us to even thrive in the first place? I think that's where most creators, or a lot of creators, would want to come from. And I will just use this medium and opportunity to urge the government to invest more. I mean, they are doing a whole lot. Recently, I was at the recent reopening of the Wole Soyinka Art Center, which is the National Art Theatre. They are doing a whole lot. The National Art Theatre now, with the new outlook of what is looking like now, a lot of Nigerian artists need to go there, check it out, organize concerts, organize events there, stage plays and all that. So the government, they are doing what they can at the moment, but they can do do so much more, and in return, Nigerians, entertainment space and creators and musicians will feel free to pay their tax no matter what the percentage is, basically.
Okay, does this change anything in the entertainment world? That is, talking about the tax now. Does it change? That's what I want to come from the angle of say content creators that come together to collaborate, to do stuff together. Are they charged? Are they going to be charged individually, or are going to be charged as a group? How is the splitting going to happen? Going forward.
I mean, the nitty-gritty of how the government plans to tax creators in the creative space is still pretty unknown. But I mean, there's the state there that your personal income tax, this is the certain percentage they are gonna deduct if you are earning a certain amount of money. So that is already a fact, and it's starting January next year. For splitting, I'm sure creators in the say content space, not entirely the music space, in the content space, I'm sure creators have a way the sharing formula when they shoot maybe a skit together or a short film, and they post it on say YouTube, for instance, and different monetization platforms. I'm sure they have the way they split amongst themselves, and I'm sure when we split, for example, say $10,000 comes in on a particular content that we put out, and the split is 50-50. Creator A takes 50%, creator B takes 50%, and that's $5,000 each. So that means each creator earns $5,000, right?
Yeah.
And then the government will, just tax each creator with their personal income tax, basically. I mean, that's my understanding at the moment. But like I said, the nitty-gritty of how the government plans to tax each creator in the creative space is still very, very unknown at the moment.
Well, okay. I also want to believe that creators would hope that the money would be used, in return to make the entertainment industry better. Let's go to this question. Now, streaming has opened new opportunities for artists, but it has also come with new challenges. What does the current streaming landscape look like for Nigerian creators? And I want to particularly talk about the fact that there are platforms that are not open to Nigerians, and there are some musical platforms, licensing platforms, that at some point were open to Nigerians, and all of a sudden it just goes, you're not part of it. They just close it to Nigerians. What actually happens in all of those processes? Why is that?
Okay, thank you very much for this. So the thing is, in the streaming, there are some DSPs, some digital streaming platforms that are region-based. Region-based means, this particular streaming platform works better in this region and might not work in this region.
Why?
It could be due to different factors. It could be due to the factor that the owners of these streaming platforms are concentrating on a particular region or a particular market, and it could be due to the fact that to pay subscription for the services of that particular DSP, you need a particular currency. That's just by the way. Some platforms that they work well in a particular region and they don't work well in another region. So the basic truth is the amount we pay. So let me just put this like this. So for Nigerian artists, as an example, a lot of these top guys, I'm talking the big boys, the Davidos and what have you, when they release a new song now, when they release a new project now, they tend to promote. It's now a trend. They tend to promote these projects more in the US and the UK and some of these European countries than do major promotion in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. Reason being, the amount we pay for subscription on, say, Spotify, for example, in Nigeria is not the same amount that they pay on subscription in the US or in the UK. And that transcends to the fact that the revenue generated on 1 million streams in Nigeria, 1 million streams that was generated in Nigeria and 1 million streams that was generated in the US, they don't bring the same amount of revenue. So if you were the one and you're selling, say, a product in Abuja, for instance, and people are paying, say, 100 naira for that product, and you hear that if you sell the same product in Lagos or in Kaduna, and people will pay 500 naira, I'm sure you will not.
I'll sell everywhere.
I mean, yes, obviously, it will be available everywhere.
Yeah,
but
so why would
you
I
do
have to
more
take it away from A to
marketing,
give it to B?
you invest. Yes, you invest more of your energy in the market where you know you will make more money, times 5 or times 10 of what you make in Abuja. So that's just what it is. So it is just basic mathematics for some of these creators, and even basic mathematics for some of the distribution and the streaming platforms also. So it's just what it is. Nigerians, we don't have the financial power yet to pay, say, a $20 per month, which transcends to how much is that? Maybe if it's 50,000 naira, 70,000 naira per month on subscription. Whereas I think at the moment we pay about 3,000 naira, 5,000 naira monthly on Spotify, which is like I think the highest paid streaming platform at the moment. So yeah, that's what it is.
So are you saying that there are hopes that when this country, this DSPs are able to get their profits, there are hopes that, or there is hope that they will still penetrate other parts of the world?
I mean, definitely, hope is something that is very, very constant, and change is also something that is very constant. But also there is the market there. There is the market which is where the company that I work with, Mdundo, which is where we come in. Mdundo is a Pan-African platform, and we specify, we cater strictly for the African market. And now people ask, okay, what is the African market? In Africa at the moment, not everybody have unlimited internet. In Nigeria is the key story. In Nigeria at the moment, say maybe we are 200 million people, so only maybe 50 million have access to unlimited internet. What happens to the remaining 150 million people? There is a market there, and that's where Mdundo comes in. Which is to people that don't have access to unlimited internet, that will maybe buy 100 naira, use it to buy 100 MB, and use it to stream some certain amounts of music, and they don't have access to unlimited internet basically. So Mdundo, where we come in is we cater for this set of people. Our music is low MB but still maintain the good quality, and you can stream, listen, share, and enjoy music. So basically, there is still hope, definitely, and a change is definitely coming. So yeah.
Okay, so many Nigerians now see content creation as a career. So many people have dumped their jobs for content creation. And the funny thing is, a lot of people are delving towards the entertainment space. People are not, creative about, just still pushing their career using content. We all want to chase entertainment, we want to go towards the entertainment space. Do you think this trend is sustainable? Is it solid to build a creative economy? Or are we just operating on vibes, on virality, all of that?
I mean, I wouldn't advise anyone to quit their day job to be a content creator, but I mean, if you have the passion, first of all, when it comes to being creative, and that is why you see some creators and even some musical artists that they call one-hit wonders. First is having the talent to be able to put out good music, and then able to back it up with quality content after that. It's always easy to get your first hit song. The follow-up hit is the hardest part of it, and sustaining yourself long term. Now for creators, people that leave their day job, go into content creation, yes, the market is saturated, but still we can't say it's saturated. We don't have half of the amount of creators that the US have or that the UK have. They are creators worldwide. And now the only thing I want to say is be as creative as possible. You can't say because someone is creating this type of content, you also want to go create that same type of content. Be as creative as possible, be as unique to yourself as possible, And yes, Nigeria, we tend to lean towards the virality angle, but virality can take you so far. It can't it can't be sustained. Yes, basically. So all you need to do is just be original, be as creative as possible. Yes, you can change one or two viral posts, one or two viral content, but your originality will sustain you in the content space, basically.
Okay, so on monetization, what practical steps should content creators take to turn online influence into sustainable income? A lot of people do not have this. And some people complain that they are being cheated, basically because they don't have the knowledge. I know we cannot share all of that knowledge now, but what is that thing that one can, know this basic knowledge of it all, so that you don't fall into the wrong hands?
Okay, so for monetization, obviously, as a musical artist, to put out your music, you can put out your music in two different ways. You can use a DIY distribution company, their song DistroKid and CD Baby and all that, where you I think pay a certain amount of money, then you can put your music through those companies. The job of those companies is to deliver your song to all the stores. That's Apple Music, Dundo, Boomplay, and all those things. Also, you can reach out to distribution companies. There are different distribution companies. There's Dapper Music, there's Empower, and some of them 1RPM and the likes. So you can reach out to them and tell them you want to distribute your music. When you distribute your music, obviously you're going to sign a contract with them, and there's a sharing formula, and they help you monetize your content. That's just pretty easy for musical artists. Now for content creators that do skits, do live streaming and all that, that's a different ball game entirely. For content creators, obviously you can put your content on platforms like YouTube and all that and monetize. And obviously YouTube is not that you just put any type of video on YouTube. Your video has to meet a certain standard to be accepted. Yes, to be accepted on YouTube. And also for your YouTube, you need to get a certain amount of number to be able to monetize your YouTube. Monetization of YouTube is a different ballgame entirely. And if you're a content creator, all you need is a mentor that would put you through some of these things. So yeah.
Okay, some people feel like the reason why the whole tax reform came about is basically because of the digital space. There are people liking the digital money to all money. So I think like some people are saying that it's basically what the government saw, that made them want to, reform tax and all of that. Do you think that is true in any way? Is it all money?
We can't specifically say that it is because of the digital space, because these content creators are posting that they bought a new
them buying houses, buying cars.
Yes. We can't specifically say that is the reason, and it is a welcome development for the government, like I said earlier, to start taxing the citizens. But the question is, these taxes that you are taking from us, what are you using it to put in place to help us perform even better, which will make us more money and in return make the government more money too? So I think that's just the almighty question that will be coming from all creators basically. Okay,
so what ethical or professional checks do you think are needed to guide the creative industry? You see a lot of people putting out stuff. It is quite good to know that there are platforms that have all those double checks to ensure that you do not put out wrong content out there. But as on an individual note, and even as the government is bringing this reform, the tax reform, don't you think, what guidelines, what do you think they need to put in check to curtail the excess of freedom?
This is a very large topic. You can take it from point A, you can take it from point B. I think for creators, generally, as a creator, there are different platforms. We have TikTok, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, Twitter, we have OnlyFans. So if you are an adult content creator that creates content strictly for adult viewership alone, you have the OnlyFans, you have all access that you can go to and put your content there. If you're a creator that creates a PG-13 content, you have platforms that you can go and put your content there. And that is why, yes, the government can put in place maybe some regulations, or not even the government, these platforms already have some regulations, but maybe the regulations can be a lot stricter, and because you go on TikTok and you see a lot of youth, Nigerian youth, doing crazy things on TikTok, so some of these things can be curtailed by the platforms themselves. Now the government obviously have one or two rules.
So do you think the government can reach out to these platforms to implement these things, especially when they are coming from our citizens?
Yes, definitely. And make it a little bit more stricter. Yes, we are all making money from the platform. Just make it stricter, basically. You understand? A lot of people going naked on TikTok live and all that. So you can, those type of accounts, you can restrict the account, you can bring down the account, Instagram, you can't just post anyhow X-rated things on Instagram, because Instagram will block your account or restrict your account or take down your account entirely. You understand? So I think platforms like TikTok can start putting in some of those measures, and for creators that are in the adult entertainment space, like I said, they have OnlyFans that they can go to and some other platforms where they can post their content for free. Now these platforms that are adult content friendly, they know that underage people cannot come and register on those platforms to watch adult content. So that platform is suitable for adults alone. So I think with some of these measures being put in place and being just stricter, I think we can curtail some of these discrepancies.
Okay, so I think this is how far we can take it on the conversation today. Thank you so much, Olabode, for being here with us to share your insights. This is how far we can go. This is me saying bye to you. All right. So to our viewers, it has been an insightful conversation. Yeah, clearly Nigeria's creative industry is not just for entertainment. It is an enterprise. It is a means of employment, and it is an opportunity for you to showcase whatever you think that you have on your inside. Yeah, it's not just for you to delve towards the entertainment world. No. And as we continue to harness technology and creativity, perhaps the real challenge is balance. Yes, we need to build a thriving digital economy that celebrates talent, that rewards innovation, and also that creates protectors' rights. You have been watching Global Morning on Global Television. I am Priscilla Obasi, and we'll go for a short break. When we come back, we will return to end the show. Please don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Again, the creative economy is quite a big one. Incidentally, it is such that we hope Nigeria does not do all talk without having to do far more than scratching the surface. I know that was an area of passion for you.
Okay, well, It is. Yeah, so the new tax reform sets to target that space. But the hope is that the money that returns will be used, channeled back.
For the good of the country, right? All right, so incidentally, that's all we have for you on the program today. Thank you, as always, everyone, for taking our time to watch Global Morning. We are reminding our viewers that the views of our guests on all of our programs, including here on Global Morning, are their opinions.
And I am Priscilla Obasi, and do have yourself an amazing day.